Well, what we're trying to do is separate the leftist narrative from reality. Like they're talking about how this is women's rights, like a woman is a man who dresses as a woman. Like they've
Yeah.
reduced the value of a woman to a
Hmm.
man who wears feminine clothing.
Right.
And they're saying that it's women's rights to have that man in a bathroom. And they're attempting to create this chaos and so much confusion, because if they can produce enough confusion, then you can't attack it. It's like in one of those sci-fi thriller movies, like think about to the 80s where they're like fighting the fog, like the fog, or like some kind of strange beast. If you can't define what it is, then you don't know
Hmm.
how to build a defense against it. And that's exactly what the leftist is doing, is they want to make sure that you can't pinpoint the problem. And so they make it women's rights, they make it men's rights, they make it everybody else's rights. And so you're like running in circles, getting exhausted. But really what we're fighting against is, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say it so early in the podcast, but it's just
Say
communism. And
it.
it's
Yeah.
it's an oligarchy. I mean, and I think
Right.
so many people are fighting the little battles in front of them without looking further down. It's like driving down the highway. You can pay attention to the potholes, but you have to be paying attention like a half a mile or 2 miles down the road, or else you're going to collide with another vehicle. And we have to start rising our gaze up, because what we're fighting is really the oligarchy, where you have these monopolies coming in and they're buying up all the tech industries. And look at what's happening with propane. So, Freedom Revival, our stance against this chaos with men dressing as women and going into women's bathrooms is like, this is insane. Like we are nowhere going to support this. We are the church. We represent the church, and we're going to stand against this aggressively. And then what we're going to do is make sure that we encourage people to do something. Like it's not just being angry and getting on social media. It's more or less like stop sending any funds to the YMCA. Like the
Hmm.
YMCA is no longer a Christian organization. Obviously, the
Right.
founders come out and said that he does not support, or the previous CEO came out and said he does not support anything of this agenda. This is not Christian. It's sad that they actually call themselves the Christians anymore, although they just call themselves the Y, so they can remove young Christians, Christian
Yep.
men of America. And so
Yeah.
we're adamantly against this insanity, and we're trying to pinpoint it so we can attack it.
Good. Now, I love that you went straight from like women's rights to
Mm-hmm.
communism. Tell
Totally.
me, tell me the thought process that goes from there to like straight to communism.
Yeah. Okay. So it really breaks down to, if a society is incapable of governing themselves, they'll demand a master. The founders are all about
Mm,
this, and if we want to understand that, we've got to go a little bit further back to like, who are these founders? Who are the people that established America? And right now, there's a very strong narrative to say that they're all slaveholders, they're all racist, they're all bigots, they're all self-interested. They were deists. They believed in something, but they definitely didn't believe in Jesus or a
mhm.
virgin birth. But that's all bullshit. I don't know if you can I cuss. I don't know. I'm just gonna be me. All right.
Sure.
So it's
You know what? That's
it's
between you and
it's
Jesus.
crap. Come on, it's crap. So realistically,
Yeah.
the founders were very adamantly Christians. You look at the Puritans, which are the Pilgrims. You look at Jamestown and Plymouth Rock, and you can see that these people are coming here because they wanted to establish their version of Christianity. All
Mhm.
13 colonies, every single colony that was established had its own religious denomination. Each one of them. So New York was, I think, Protestant. Georgia was Protestant. Maryland was Baptist. And you had a number of them, right? All 13 had their own defined. And if you were a Baptist, you wouldn't really go into a Protestant like state or colony because you didn't really feel comfortable. And the Catholics who were in Maryland definitely didn't feel comfortable in any other states. Actually, most of the states didn't like Catholics. And so the Catholics weren't really well received. And so we need to know that foundation to be able to move
Yeah.
further. Like the fact that the public school has done a great job of removing history, that's strategic. Because if a
Mhm.
people don't know who you are, you're going to identify with the loudest voice. And right
Right.
now, the loudest voice is the ones who own media. Like that's the every three-letter corporation, every newspaper, every God, even sports, or think of the production companies in Hollywood or the theater companies in New York. Like those are the loudest voices, and they get to carry the narrative. So if you don't know who you are, then you can't really cling to your identity when you're combating these loud voices. And so it's
Mhm.
easy for me to see, knowing my history, like, no, this is a Christian country, and the freedom and the liberty we have, it's based off the scriptures. So if an enemy wanted to come in and destroy America, they're going to do it not externally. We don't have to worry about China and Russia. We don't have to worry about Canada or Mexico. Like, what we have to worry about is America and the corruption of the mind. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what we're observing here with this idea that men can be women. All they have to do is cut their penis off, and now they're magically a woman. Or if they just
Right.
wear women's clothes, then magically they're a woman. And we know that's fallacious, and it's going to affect a child's identity, and that child will more likely demand a master because they won't know who they are.